What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video of the Reddit series. If you're new here, please make sure to smack the subscribe button for regular quality content. Today's topic is of entitled parents. I know it's one of your favorites, so grab some snacks, chill out, and let's dive right in. This post has a little bit of a backstory. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of the nasal cavity. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, which is hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point I had to go bald, but I wore a wig because I didn't want to look like a skinhead / neo-Nazi. I'm 6 feet 4 inches and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one only to see it was absolutely packed. I felt like shit thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. And if you're reading this, thanks bro. 2 stops later, enter entitled mother. A lovely whale with an I demand a parley with the CEO haircut and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed, start looking for a free seat, spot me, and start marching, or in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats while shoving others aside, to me. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is the conversation that followed. She said, "Hey, could you let my kid sit down?" "You mean me?" "Who else?" she said. "Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm on my way from the hospital," and she cuts me off at this point and says, "So are we." This was nonsense. The stop was a few kilometers away from the hospital. My boy just broke his leg and we're coming straight from the ER. Her kid was standing next to her without any support, clearly embarrassed. I was like, "He's standing next to you completely fine. Look here, boy." I'm 21 years old, by the way. My kid deserves to sit down. "Look madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session in the hospital and I need to sit down and rest." I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. "Stop making excuses and get off the freaking seat, you freaking skinhead piece of crap." At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from my seat. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now enter the older gentleman, my savior. "Will you shut the frick up, you dumb cow? Who do you think you're talking to?" So the older gentleman replies with an ice cold voice, "Stop assaulting other passengers or I will be forced to step in." Also, every dumb moron could see that the dude has cancer. No, he's just a freaking skinhead. He's got no eyebrows, you twat. Seems like that really offended the entitled mother because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch in the older gentleman's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted and the kid probably wished he'd never been born, honestly. The older gentleman then said something unbelievable and a golden sweet karma moment followed. Okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. The older gentleman then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he pulled out his phone, called someone, and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. OG was a bloody cop. At this point, the entitled mother was white as a wall. The bus had just come to a stop, so she decided she'd make a run for it, but other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for the entitled mother and entitled kid. The entitled kid told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior and I felt really sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. OG then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes. Took a statement and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone, so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, the entitled mother got some jail time. I think it was a few months and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and the sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home as I just got home from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend who's sitting next to me told me I should post it here. He, as much as myself, also couldn't believe that such people existed, but it seems I proved it to him. I should also note that the surgery went well and I was declared cancer free in November and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. This is something that happened to my mother when my sister was just born. I don't know the exact details since it was about 20 years ago when I was about 2 years old, but this is what my mother told us. So almost 20 years ago, my mother gave birth to my little sister and it obviously was an amazing moment for my parents. Sis was born in the middle of the night, so the rest of the family wasn't there. Since there wasn't anything wrong, we could all go home the next day and we'd have people visit at home after mum and sis had rested a bit. Sounds reasonable, right? We couldn't have been home an hour when my aunt came to see the baby. My dad answered the door because my mum was washing her newborn baby baby for the first time. Aunt: "Hi, I came to see a baby girl." Dad was like, "Sorry, but we just came back from the hospital and are all tired." As I said, middle of the night, so no sleep for anyone. My wife is just washing the baby and then putting it to bed. Maybe you can come in a couple of hours, or maybe tomorrow? "But she's my niece. Why don't you let me just wash her? I have children too, you know. I know how to do it." "No, that's not necessary. We're okay. Just come back later, then you can see our daughter." "But she's my niece. I demand to give her a bath. It's her first time home and we would like to be with our baby, please." "I don't care, it's your baby. I want to wash her." My aunt had always been pretty demanding because of how my grandma raised her, just her since she was the youngest, and my dad had always been, well, direct. Dad was like, "Just leave my house, you can see her later. Goodbye," as he closed the door. So what does my aunt do? The same thing as always. She complains to her mother. So they both come to her house about half an hour later. "Grandma, why don't you let my daughter see your baby? It's also her family, you know." "Yes, and she can come see her with the rest of the family after we've had some sleep. It's been almost 35 hours since we've been awake and my wife is finally sleeping." "Well, if she's sleeping, then we can go see your daughter," as she tries to slip around my dad. "No, she is sleeping too. I would like you to leave now." "Nonsense. Surely we can just hold her for a moment. I'm her grandma and you're my children. Even as adults, you still have to do as I say." Since my dad didn't want to do anything stupid, he just slammed the door in their face, disconnected the doorbell, and went to sleep. They came back a couple times, even tried to open a window to get in, but finally they just gave up. My mom was so pissed when my father told her what happened that grandma and the aunt didn't get to see my sister for another week. So I have a black cat who I will not name, but he was extremely cute and a lot of my mum's visitors like to pet him. This guest took it way too far. So we all have dinner and dad asks me, an entitled kid, to go sit on the couch and watch some TV. The cat is lying on the couch and the entitled kid pats him. Nothing strange. We watch a movie, then entitled dad tells entitled kid that they have to leave. The entitled kid picks up the cat and starts to leave. That's my cat." "Well, it's entitled kid's now." "Actually, we'd like to keep the cat as we own him." "No, it's mine. Entitled kid wants it, so he can have it." The entitled dad proceeds to pick up the cat from the entitled kid's hands in a very painful way. "Give me back the cat." The entitled kid starts throwing a tantrum, which attracts mum and dad. "What's happening?" mum says. Entitled dad: "Your son tried to steal the entitled kid's cat. You should punish him." I don't know why entitled dad thought this would work. Mum and dad knew cat like the back of their hands. "That's our cat." Entitled kid starts crying louder. "Give him back. If entitled kid can't have him, no one can." Entitled dad then proceeds to slam the cat into the floor. Luckily he wasn't hurt, and the entitled dad and the entitled kid were asked to leave immediately. They were never invited over again. Okay, so this happened today. I've always read stories and never expected it to happen to me, but boy was I wrong. Mum and I are on a shopping trip. We enter a shop called Sea Salt, which is a clothing store, and start checking out the clothes. As we walk further back into the shop, I immediately become aware of 4 very loud children and around 3 adults. The adults consisted of 1 staff member, an entitled mother, and the grandma. As I'm wandering around the store, I hear the staff member talk to one of the children about respecting the coloring crayons another staff member gave them whilst the entitled mother and grandma were trying on clothes. The children continued to treat the crayons like crap. Anyway, I find a few items that I like and I wanted to try them out. So I walked to the changing rooms where the kids and adults were. The entitled mother is rather large and took up the entire hallway. I asked her if I could get past. She glares at me silently and moves along. I try a dress on and walk out to show my mom. Everything's fine and I go back to the hallway to get to my cubicle so that I can change. An important thing about these changing cubicles is that they don't have doors or locks, just curtains that you pull over the door to hide your naked butt from the prying eyes. So when I saw one of the entitled mother's kids messing around with the cubicle's curtains, I silently hoped, I hope that kid doesn't try to open mine. Newsflash, she does, multiple times. First time she does it, I'm partly undressed. She just whacks it open and stares. In shock, I just grab the curtain and yank it back. I just want to say at this point, the mum was in the cubicle next to me and the grandma was outside. The grandma could have clearly seen what the little crap was doing, but she just chose to ignore it. Anyway, the second time she does it, I quickly tell the kid off to leave me alone. If I could have, I would have walked out to tell her off, but when you're naked AF, that's not really a good idea. So I get dressed as quickly as possible, and when she peeked for like the 5th time, luckily I was dressed and pissed. So I pulled open the curtain and immediately started to tell the kid off and that she should respect people's space. Even though I was pissed, I tried to say this as calmly as possible, but she still bursted into tears regardless. It's at this point that the entitled mother waddles in to see what the drama's about. The grandma couldn't give a crap about what is going on and is just watching. Kid, this girl is being mean to me. Entitled mother, why is my kid crying? What did you do? Your daughter has been open opening my cubicle and being quite rude. I was just telling her that it's something you must not do. The entitled mother's face contorts into a mix of confusion and fury. She completely ignores me and is shouting because how dare I lecture her child on something so mundane. I'm getting pretty mad too, and I argue back that maybe she ought to keep a closer eye on her children and teach them some manners. Her excuse? We're all women here and it's not that big of a deal. What? So I was just stunned at how messed up that was. Luckily, the previously mentioned member of staff came to see what the commotion was about, and since she dealt with the little pygmy devils earlier, I assumed that she knew I wasn't in the wrong. She apologizes to me and asks the entitled mother to watch her kids closer or to leave the shop. She leaves, stating that she's not coming back ever again. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I'm pretty new to this YouTube thing, so if you have any suggestions on how to improve my videos, please drop a comment down below. And if you're trying to join the family, then hit the subscribe button with the bell notification on so you're one of the first to find out when I drop a new video. Other than that, I hope y'all have a blessed day. Peace.